everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Big Beautiful Badasses. I am your host, Kimberly Plesia, and today I have such a badass on. She is a survivor. Oh my god, there's so much that I have to tell you about this woman. But before we get started, guys, if you like what I'm doing, if you want to help support what I'm doing, please go over to buymeacoffee.com / this fat girl life. You guys already know I live on coffee. Like, caffeine keeps me sane, keeps me out of jail. Caffeine is life juice for me. So if you go over to buymeacoffee.com / this fat girl life, you can sign up as a follower. That way you're getting all the juicy tidbits. You're going to find out some stuff that's coming up that I post there before I post on other social medias. So that's where you get the tea. But if you do become a member, it's $5 a month, cheaper than Starbucks. And as my free gift to you for being a member, you get my guided journals completely free of charge. So buymeacoffee.com / this fat girl life. Thank you so much for being here today, Helen.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. It's great to see you. And I have my coffee. I agree. It is life juice.
I drank my coffee already. I am now working on the can of Monster because I got to tell you, this daylight savings time thing, losing an hour of sleep is a real struggle. It's
Yeah.
killing me today. I think I'm on like 4 hours of sleep, so it's
Oh my
hard.
God. Yeah.
But you guys, Helen, like I said, she is a survivor. She's a breast cancer survivor. She is the host of the C Word Radio podcast show. She is wife, fur baby mom. She does it all. This woman is a true badass, Miss Helen King. So before we get started, Helen, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself that I haven't already shared?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, seed fur babies, I'm hopeful will not interrupt this this talk.
Same.
I've given them stern warnings. Yeah, so I guess I'm from Auckland, New Zealand, and you've hit most of the main things there. Isn't it funny? I always struggle to explain who I am because I sort of, you get really sort of your life is your life and you don't think it's very interesting. But yeah, I'm a former journalist. I love podcasting. And I'm really passionate about spreading the word of badassery and survivorship.
I love it. Well, and that's what we're going to talk about is, one, dealing with medical fat phobia, which is such a real thing. And I don't
Hmm.
think a lot of people realize how real it truly is. Um, so let's dive in right there, that medical fat phobia, because I
Yeah.
remember you commented that when you were talking to a doctor about the reconstructive surgery portion, they pretty much said you are too fat for us to do this.
Yes. Yes, they did.
I in New Zealand, do you guys get Grey's Anatomy?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so I just got caught up last night, and one of the episodes, a woman went in with a knee problem,
Mm.
said that she had cortisone injections that normally work, blah blah blah, and the doctor flat out said, "Well, maybe if you lose 10 to 15 pounds, it'll make a difference."
Mm.
And she was pissed, rightfully
Yeah.
so, because that is medical fat phobia.
Yeah.
Well, as she is walking away, they notice she has what's called a foot drop, which is a problem walking.
Mm.
And it was brought to the attention of the doctor that even losing 10, 15, 20, 50 pounds would not affect that issue. But because of her weight, she was ignored.
Yeah.
Later in that episode, it goes to Dr. Bailey and they start talking about BMI.
Yeah.
And Dr. Bailey pretty much mirrored my opinion that BMI is bullshit.
Yeah.
It was created by insurance companies.
Yeah.
The higher BMI, the higher the insurance companies will charge. That's the only
Yes.
reason they look at BMI, because of money.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy to me that they still use the BMI as any sort of measure of what someone's health or general worth in society is.
Well, and it's
Yeah.
based off of European men.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
whole system of BMI is based off of white European men. It does not take into factor bone density. It
Mm.
does not take into factor gender. Doesn't take any of that into factor.
No.
It's just
No.
designed to make you feel like crap.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I guess, yeah, like I've had lots of different experiences, but I think um so I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018, and um the course of treatment was a mastectomy of the breast that had the tumors in, and then looking at reconstruction. And because of the size of my breasts, the type of reconstruction that was recommended was a type where they can either take stomach muscle, or parts from there or from your back, and they reconstruct a new breast, and then I think they reduce the other one and sort of try and make them try and make them look vaguely
Make
similar.
them symmetrical.
Yeah, yeah. But so, and that is quite a long surgery. And so basically they said, look, we wouldn't recommend just sort of silicone implants. It just wouldn't get a nice result. So they recommended it's either a tram flap or a diet flap. But because of your BMI, it would be too dangerous for you to have that. So wait 2 years post diagnosis, which is quite normal for, them doing different things. They were because those 2 years after diagnosis can be often the sort of danger zones for
Mhm.
reoccurrence. But yeah, and come back when you have lost X amount of weight, and then we will reconstruct you. And recently I've been looking into this because I was thinking about it, and there are medical, proper research papers that look into this, to look into, is there elevated risk? Is there more risk? And there are quite a few that point to there's a slight risk, and it's around healing. But at least three of these studies that I've found had said you should look at not excluding people with higher BMIs from this type of reconstruction. Yeah.
I just the the medical field with fat phobia just
Mm.
floors me. And it really, from my own personal experiences, it makes me really question how many plus size people
Mm.
are not getting proper medical treatment or not
Yeah.
getting treatment at all
Yeah.
because they're either dealing with the fat phobia or they just don't go because they're afraid of
Yeah.
having to deal with the fat phobia. Because
Yeah.
with that, I don't think people, as straight size people, really kind of get what that does to a person
Mm.
when you are mistreated
Yeah.
medically. You're going in for an issue that is a real medical problem and it is completely dismissed because of your weight.
Yeah. Yes.
That brings on
Yeah.
shame. It brings on fear. It brings on anger, rightfully
Mm.
so.
Mm.
But it gets you to a point where you just say, screw it, I'm not going to deal with this. And you
Yeah.
just quit going to the doctor.
Yeah.
And then you end up in situations that can be detrimental to your health.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I wonder sometimes, and I don't know if you've come across this, they're on Instagram. They have a podcast, The Fat Doctor UK, and I was listening to some of their episodes, and they were talking about, is it the person's size, or is it that stigma? Is it the fact that a lot of people will wait? Because I know I have. And this was never going to be a life-threatening disease, but I hurt one of my big toes. And it just started hurting. I thought, oh, but I actually put off going to see the doctor for about a year, and I ended up being referred on to a podiatrist, and he didn't mention my weight ever. There was no mention of it, and I ended up getting an ultrasound. And what was wrong was that I have osteoarthritis in my big toe, and he said that's actually very normal for women over about the age of 35. Often when we're younger, we might have been trying to, you know, get our
Wear those
hooves into.
heels.
And so he said it's really normal. Like there's nothing. It's just this is you're aging, unfortunately, and
Hmm.
can't reverse that. And I had tears in the capsule, and I was thinking, this is crazy. I walked around in pain for a year because I didn't want to go to the doctor. Um, and her tell me it was probably, 'cause there's that fear of I don't want to go and I don't
Hmm.
want her to pull out that bloody scale and be put on it because my toe hurts. you know?
Totally understand. I went through, so I have nerve damage in my right
Mm,
leg
mm,
because of dealing with a fat phobic doctor who misdiagnosed it and put
yeah.
it off as you just need to lose weight and you won't have this pain in your leg.
Mm.
Well, no, I had a nerve that was pinched.
Oh, yeah.
Weight is not going to affect a pinched nerve. And it got pinched so bad and so long that it actually ended up damaging the nerve. And so now I can't feel half my leg.
Wow.
Well, then, you know, finally got that diagnosis taken care of. I'm on nerve medication to help with it. Well, then probably, well, the pain first started right after my grandson was born. Started
Yeah.
having pain in my knee on that same leg. And I was like, it's not that bad. I can deal with it.
Mm.
My knee just needs to pop. Dealt with it for a year. Finally got to a point where last October we went out to Vegas. I could
Mm.
not walk.
Mm.
I was riding a mobility cart, which I highly recommend anyways. I mean, that made life so easy. But then I come back from Vegas and I go to the doctor for a regular physical. I
Mm.
literally fell. My
Wow.
knee could not bear weight at all. I collapsed outside the doctor's office and
Mm.
had to have people come and help me up, which is embarrassing to begin with.
Mm.
And then I go to an osteo or an orthopedic surgeon,
Yeah.
and they did the cortisone shot. But he was like, you have no cartilage. You've got such
Wow.
arthritis in your knee. The cartilage is gone. It's bone on bone. But we're not
Oh,
going to replace it yet because you need to lose weight. And I'm kind of like, you were doing so good.
yeah.
Gave me the shot, took away the pain, and then you had to go there. And it's like, just replace the damn knee.
Yeah.
If it's replaced, but to tell me that I need to lose weight, I am already, and I actually kind of talked about this a little bit on an episode of one of my other podcasts, but
Mm.
I am dealing with an eating disorder.
Mm.
It's not something that I never put two and two together. When you're in a bigger body, you don't
Yeah.
think of bulimia being something you deal with.
Yeah. Yeah.
But after putting two and two together, talking with my regular physician, we figured out that am dealing with non-purging bulimia, which means I will binge, but I
Mm.
won't purge afterwards.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you're already dealing with an eating disorder, being told to lose weight is one of the most damaging things somebody can do.
It's crazy, isn't it? And I feel like so much shame is put on you when you're bigger. So I guess I would be like I can still go into like a very select few shops and find clothes, or there are plus size clothes, and so I know I have some privileges in that respect. I look at my experience because I've like so many larger people. Like I'm a weight cycler. Like I have dieted, since I was a young like teenager, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a smaller person then, and then yeah, then the weight cycling started to happen, and it's really interesting when you go through something like cancer, because when you look at lots of different cancers like breast cancer, bowel cancer, or whatever, um, obesity is always tacked on as a risk factor. It's always just sort of put on in
Mm-hmm.
there, like you know, with everything else, and
Oh yeah.
so it's really interesting because you start thinking, well, did I cause this? Is this my fault? Because cancer is one of
Right?
those things where actually it just happens, and even if like it's such a shitty disease, like blame should never come into it, because you
Right?
wouldn't you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. And I remember saying to my oncologist, um, if I lose weight, does that mean do I give myself a better chance of the cancer not coming back? And he said to me, I can't even say that. He said, so many different people come through my office, really, really fit people, or, variations. And he said that he thought that there's too much emphasis put on fat. And I thought, gosh, this is an intriguing. This is intriguing.
Right?
Yeah.
And I totally get that of you question if you caused it. I last November I caught COVID.
Yeah.
And my recovery was so different from my husband's. 2 weeks he was up, moving around, he was good. It is now March. I ended up with hypoxia due
Yeah.
to respiratory failure from COVID. And what that means is I've got organs that have started shutting down.
Wow. Yeah.
I am on full time oxygen. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice now because I did an episode earlier about an hour ago. And now I'm doing this one. My voice is already cutting out because
Wow. Yeah.
my lungs, it, I've got diminished capacity in my lungs.
Mm.
And my doctor even said, he doesn't see people that it takes this long to recover. And I am now on, long term disability.
Yeah.
I don't know what my life is going to look like. And, I do have that thought in the back of my mind is, did I cause this?
Mm.
I know this happened because I got COVID because I wasn't on oxygen before COVID. But you still have that question of, is
Yep.
this my fault?
Yeah.
Did I do this to myself? Am I ultimately doing this to my husband because he's picking up the slack?
Mm.
And it's like, where does that cycle end?
Yeah.
Four plus size bodies, where does that cycle of blame and shame end for us?
Mm.
Because it's everywhere. It's in the medical field, it's in clothing, it's in restaurants.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you go to an all you can eat buffet. You're if you have a good all you can eat buffet, you best bet you're gonna have bigger people there. Yet they have seating that does not accommodate larger bodies.
Mm. Mm.
And I have seen My husband is, wears an extra large.
Yeah.
He's, a little on the plus side, but not very much. But that man can put away food. I have seen it happen. I'm like, are your legs hollow?
Yeah.
You know, and I am the person because, and now we figured out because of the eating disorder, I don't eat in public because I feel like I'm being judged for every bite that I may put in my mouth in front of
Oh
anybody.
my
I can eat in
God.
front of my husband,
Yeah.
but we went out for my birthday, and it was my husband, my daughter, my stepdaughter, my father-in-law, people that I've had multiple meals in front of.
Mm.
I could eat some of the appetizers.
Yeah.
I could not eat my entree.
Mm.
A freaking chicken sandwich, I couldn't do it because I questioned, are they going to judge me? Are they going to look at me funny
Mm.
for eating this and enjoying it?
Yeah. And I don't think people realize that mental struggle that a lot of us do go through when we have, larger bodies. As you've been talking, I know that I've been through it, I still get a bit self-conscious, and I've definitely been through phases like that where I'm like, nah, not eating in public. But yeah, it's really frustrating that we still judge bigger bodies in the way that we do, because I don't know, I think about my experience with chemo and um all of my bloods, because when you have chemotherapy, before each cycle you have to have a blood test, and they just make sure that everything's okay. If something's wrong, you won't go through it and things. My bloods stayed normal the entire time. And I mean, my oncologist nuked me. He gave me as much chemotherapy as he
I
could.
love that you just said he nuked you.
Yeah. And sometimes I think, yeah, like I had a bigger body, and sometimes I think maybe that helped, I was sturdy. I kind of, yeah, got through, got through it.
Oh my god, I love this
Yeah.
because I that is like the most positive way to look at chemo. You're going through this you know medical procedure that is not fun,
No.
and you're just like, yep, bring it on, send the nukes in.
Yeah. It's crazy, and it really makes me sad, because there is a lot of because women often, or people, especially when you've had, I think when you've had breast cancer. So I didn't have hormone involvement, so mine was HER2 positive. So that's the HER2 protein goes nuts and decides to do what it shouldn't. But a lot of people who might have, estrogen dominant or estrogen and progesterone will be put into a forced menopause. And I was also put
Menopause
into a forced
sucks.
menopause for, oh my God, it is hell. And so in that state, your body is not like, it's very difficult to lose weight. And what really breaks my heart is are a lot of women who may have been like me and haven't had reconstruction. So you might, have one boob, with a one boob club. But now you are deemed too big to be able to get your reconstruction. And these women beat themselves up. But it's like, you've been through a hugely traumatizing experience. What it does to your body. You're probably in forced menopause, which, makes you tired, and, everything is,
The
your
sweat, the
yeah, the
hot
sweating.
flashes from
Yeah.
sweating. I don't know how many times I literally have, because we have a window air conditioning unit,
Yeah.
and I've got a 6 foot privacy fence in my backyard.
Yeah.
I will go literally and stand in front of that AC unit with my shirt pulled out and my boobs lifted up, just
Yeah.
because it's like, oh my god, I'm dying. And then
Yeah.
the swamp ass. Oh my
Yeah.
god. And when you're bigger, like straight size women deal with this too. But
Yes.
when you are bigger, that sweat has more places to sit.
Yeah.
You got those, those side rolls and,
Yeah.
wherever you have, if you got an apron stomach like I do,
Yeah.
girl.
Things can hide in there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And menopause is not fun for anybody.
No,
I don't
it's
know
horrific.
any woman who has said menopause was great for me. Do I miss
No.
having periods? 100%.
No.
I I I don't miss that at all. But I hate the hot flashes.
Oh, they're horrific. They're so
Oh my
bad.
god.
They're
There are
so
not enough
bad.
words.
No. But I feel like yeah, so much of what larger people deal with is the shame about our bodies. And I feel like it's like it takes away so much enjoyment out of life. And I mean, the other experience that I've had, because I hadn't had children when I got cancer, I was funded to get my eggs retrieved. And technically, I was not meant to be eligible for it because of my BMI. But the doctor did sort of just push it through. But when it came time to, because you have to wait 2 years, and so we
Hmm.
waited 2 years. I have a partner. We had embryos on ice, and it would have been maybe 2 or 3 months before I turned 40 because they won't fund the transfer if you're over 40. And I basically would have had to have lost a significant amount of weight um, in 2 or 3 months. And I just looked at her and I said, does that mean that my chances of the transfer working will, increase? And she's like, I no, I can't like no. And so actually the factor is my age. Like I'm 41 now. And so actually the main thing here is that when those eggs were retrieved, I was a 37-year-old woman who already had decreasing fertility as you are when you're in your late 30s. And it's
Hmm.
my age. That is the factor. It's I can't do anything about that. And it was so intriguing to me because I posted about this on my Facebook page. And even though I clearly said, I'm 40 now at the time, this is, that's the challenge. Everyone's like, oh, my sister's cousin's neighbor lost weight and she got, and it's just like, no, people, it's not about that.
Has absolutely nothing to do with that. It had, and age does play such a big factor
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
successful pregnancy.
Yes.
Weight, I mean, I know I've heard some things about, weight playing a factor in
Mm.
having a successful pregnancy.
Yeah.
Just because, when you are bigger, you do, there are some higher risks,
Yeah.
elevated blood pressure, things of that nature that can affect pregnancy and diabetes.
Mm.
But I remember when I was pregnant with my daughter, they tested me 5 different times,
Yeah.
swearing that I had to have gestational diabetes. Negative every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, I did have complications during my pregnancy, but they were not weight related. Chicken
Mm.
pox does not care about your weight.
No.
And I got
Oh
chicken
my
pox while I was
god.
pregnant. That sucks.
Wow.
That sucks.
Wow.
But, a car wreck dealt with that during my pregnancy. Weight had nothing to do with that. The issues that I had were not weight related whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, why are we putting such a focus on it? And that's honestly what I love about the Haze movement, health at
Yes.
every size,
Yeah.
because you can be bigger and have beautiful blood pressure and
Mm.
beautiful cholesterol and have all the numbers right except that BMI.
Mhm.
Or you could be a straight size 6 female, perfectly proportioned, perfect BMI that has high blood pressure, has
High
heart
cholesterol.
issues, high
Yep.
cholesterol, has all those issues.
Mm.
Weight is a number.
Yeah.
That is all it is a number.
Yeah.
And I wish that we could focus more on the person
Mm.
rather than the size.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And because I've been thinking about this recently, and I was talking to a friend about this who is a straight size, and I said to her, "How often does your GP, which is your primary physician, weigh you?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe once in the past 2 years." And it's like my doctor weighs me
Hmm.
maybe every time or every second time I go and see her. And I was really curious, and I thought, I wonder what other people. So I would love to know if people watch this later or listen to it, and can let us know, like, how often does your primary physician weigh you?
I would love to know that as well because they put me on the scale every time I go in. I'm going in for an oxygen evaluation.
Yes.
I'm not going in for anything else. We're going in to see where my oxygen levels are at, to see if
Yeah,
we have improvement in how I breathe.
yeah,
Explain this to me like I'm two, because yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it doesn't work like that. So definitely, I'm going to second that question. I want to know, and I don't want to know the number on the scale. I don't care about the
No.
number on the scale, but how frequently
Mm,
does your primary physician take your weight?
mm,
Is it every visit, every other visit, never? What is the frequency on that? Because that's a huge question.
mm,
And I'm going to tag a second question onto it. If you are a straight size person, or
yes.
even on the uber thin, range where you weigh less than what the primary target is, does your doctor have that same conversation with you
Mm,
that they have with us of we have to lose weight? Does your doctor harp on the fact that you need to gain weight, that
yeah,
you being too thin is what is causing your medical issue?
yeah.
That would be interesting to know if people who are thinner than the average, if
Mm,
they get those same comments. So
yeah,
I want to know that.
yeah,
And this isn't me trying to be nosy or facetious. I'm actually curious about this now.
yeah.
So please leave us a comment letting us know. You can tag me in it, because I'll see all of them anyways. I will
Mm,
tag Helen in it because I want to get a conversation going about this.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that would be huge. In
I
fact, I
think
think
so.
I'm also going to make something on Instagram to conversation because if you're anything like me, you do speak. Your feed is curated with
Yeah.
a lot of larger bodies.
Yes.
So I want to ask other women this question.
Mm.
God, I'm glad we brought that up. Well, guys, that is where we are going to leave this too. I want to leave you pondering that. I think
Mm.
that's the perfect spot to end this. Helen,
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for coming on and having this conversation with me. I think it was hugely important. I think it brought some things definitely to light.
Mm.
I do have one final question for you.
Yes.
Doesn't really have much to do with the conversation we've had, but you know
Uh,
me, I always have that final question.
yeah.
If you, as a plus size woman, could go back in time and speak to you as a straight size woman,
Mm.
would you tell them?
I would tell them that that she's perfect the way she is and she doesn't need to change anything, and that yeah, and that it can all change overnight, as I experienced later on. So just enjoy what you have now, and don't let other people's opinions of you change anything.
I love that. Well, you guys,
Mm.
that is where we are going to end this today. I will be back next Sunday with an amazing guest. I've got a great friend coming on. I cannot wait for y'all to meet her. She was on season one. She's coming back for season two. I will see you guys later. Stay happy, stay healthy, and know that you are loved. Bye, guys.